Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. In this tutorial, we're going to allocate some memory for our bitmap. So when I started programming, like in 1997, I suppose, you couldn't necessarily allocate all the memory you needed for an entire screen full of pixels. But now that's usually pretty uncontroversial. Computers can handle that pretty easily usually. So we're gonna in these videos we're gonna allocate all the memory we need to hold all the information, all the color information about all the pixels on our screen, and we're gonna set pixels in that memory. So set the pixel information and then finally write it to a file. So what we need here is a pointer to an area of memory big enough to hold all the information for all the pixels in the screen. So I'm going to go to bitmap.h here, and I'm going to create a let's create. I'll use actually a unique pointer so that I don't have to put the delete in the constructor. If I wasn't using a unique pointer, if I had a normal pointer here, I'd have to also delete this memory with the array form of delete in the destructor. But this will save me having to do that. I'm going to make the type C standard int, u int 8 underscore t array. So very important to put the array brackets on there, otherwise it's not going to work. So this is the type of thing that this pointer points to. I've got C standard int and using namespace standard in here already. So we need C standard int to be able to refer to uint 8 underscore t. This is equivalent to an unsigned char type. But this is just kind of easier than writing unsigned char every time, really. Let's call that m underscore p pixels. I can, since this is C++ 11, I can initialize this already here. Still getting to grips with this keyboard, but I can set that to null pointer. So it starts off as being set to null pointer, which if you can initialize something, I always think probably best to do it. Because it could reduce bugs down the line. At least it's set to a consistent value to start with. Then in the destructor, so in bitmap.cpp, I'm going to initialize that here in the constructor initialization list. Some compilers will let you initialize your instance variables in any order, but the GNU compiler that I'm using complains if I don't initialize things in the initialization list in the same order that I've got them here. That's good practice anyway, so I'm going to, after width and height, I'll initialize this unique pointer, m underscore p. I'll call that pixels, actually. So in the CPP file, in the constructor here, let's add a initialization for this, m underscore p pixels. And so, of course, we use the constructor of the unique pointer, and we say new uint 8, and how much memory do we actually want that to point at? Well, it's going to be the width of the height, so the width of the screen times the height, so that's the total number of pixels, times 3, because we've got one uint 8 value, underscore t I should say there, for every color channel for every pixel. So every pixel has 3 bytes or 3 uint 8 underscore t's associated with it. So that should do the trick. It's just check that it builds, and we've only got warnings about unused width and height fields, which is fine. And that's going to allocate our memory for us, and also clean up the memory when our bitmap object goes out of scope, probably at the end of the program. So that should do the trick there. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. Until next time, happy coding.